Hello everyone. This video deals with the questions that asks if trigonometric values are equal, opposite, or neither of the two. First, let's look at the sine of 31 degrees and the sine of 149 degrees. The best thing to do would be to draw both of these rotations. The 31-degree angle is in the first quadrant between 0 and 90 degrees, and the 149-degree angle is in the second quadrant between 90 and 180 degrees. The next important step is to find the reference angles for the triangles. So 31 degrees will just be 31 degrees since it's in the first quadrant. And we're just rotating off 0 degrees. In the second quadrant, we subtract 149 degrees from 180 degrees to get the reference angle. And we find that that's also 31 degrees. Because both of the reference angles are the same, this is just the same triangle reflected. Therefore, we know that values have to be either equal or opposite. Because both of the triangles are in quadrants where the sine value is positive, or in other words, notice that both of the triangles are up, and so both of the opposite sides are the same. That means that these values are going to be equal. Next, let's look at cosine of 324 degrees and cosine of 216 degrees. Again, let's draw the triangles and label their reference angles. 324 degrees is in the fourth quadrant between 270 and 360 degrees, and 216 degrees is in the third quadrant between 180 and 270 degrees. Next, let's find the reference angle. In the fourth quadrant, we subtract the rotation from 360 degrees. And so the fourth quadrant angle has a reference angle of 36 degrees. In the third quadrant, we subtract 180 from the rotation to get the reference angle. And so we see there that the reference angle is 36 degrees. And because both reference angles are 36 degrees, again we have the same triangle just reflected, and that means the values are going to be either equal or opposite. Since one of the triangles is to the right in a quadrant where cosine is positive, and the other triangle is to the left in a quadrant where cosine is negative, that means that the two values are going to be opposites. For our third example, we'll look at tangent of 184 degrees and tangent of 274 degrees. Right away, when I draw the two triangles, I should notice that the triangles look quite different. The opposite and adjacent sides are definitely not the same. And sure enough, if we look at the reference angles, the tangent of 184 degrees has a 4-degree reference angle, and the tangent of 274 degrees has an 86-degree reference angle. The triangles are definitely not reflections of each other. The reference angles are different. Therefore, these angles have neither opposite nor equal values. In summary, if the two rotations have different reference angles, then the values will be neither equal nor opposite. If the two rotations have the same reference angles, then they'll be equal if they're both in positive or both in negative quadrants, depending on whether you're looking at sine, cosine, or tangent. And they'll be opposite if one of the rotations is in a positive quadrant and one is in a negative quadrant, again, depending on whether you're looking at sine or cosine or tangent. Try these three on your own now. Draw all of the angles and mark their reference angles. For the two values for sine, we see that the reference angles are different. The triangles are different. They're not merely reflections of each other. Therefore, the sine of 22 degrees and the sine of 64 degrees have neither equal nor opposite values. Cosine of 61 degrees and cosine of 319 degrees are going to have equal values. If we subtract 319 from 360 degrees, we get that the reference angle is 61 degrees, same as the rotation in the first quadrant. And since cosine is positive in both the first and the fourth quadrants, both of these values are going to be positive. Finally, the tangent of 206 degrees and the tangent of 334 degrees have opposite values. If we subtract 206 minus 180, and we subtract 360 minus 334, we find that both of these rotations have reference angles of 26 degrees. And since one of them's in the third quadrant and one of them's in the fourth quadrant, tangent of 206 degrees is positive and tangent of 334 degrees is negative, and therefore the values are opposite.